This is Lauren with Willow Ridge Garden Center, and we're going to have some fun with nature and making art. And you are going to get messy. Your fingers are going to be covered in ink and paints or whatever you've got. I will start out, or I've done a couple examples. I've got the fish. When it's nature, it's not going to cooperate with you, but do little sample test pieces. That's why that other piece had all little different things going on. I have collected blossoms, pansy blossoms. I've got some white pine. I've got some deodar cedar. I've got some million bell blooms. I've got a holly. That's what I actually used on the fish for the scales. I have a blossom from kale. That was a lot of fun. All right, so we're going to work on doing a lion. And I have some simple awesome crayons here that I've just stored away, forgot about. Fortunately, it still had ink. This is all stuff I've collected from my house. Then I am going to take a paint bottle because it does print or get the ink better. So I'm just rolling it on my ink pad. Oops. And then I'm going to place it just like so. And we're going to roll it. Like I said, it's nature. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be little spots, but I'm just going to roll it around and add the mane. Sorry. I'm the naughty kid. I left my phone on. And as you can see, we're just rolling right along, having some fun, making a crazy wild mane. And because I like a lot of detail, I have some other fun. People with kids may have a lot of this, just temporary wash, art paint, Crayola, kid-friendly paint. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to this because it's a little thick. And I found that if it's thick, it doesn't do as well. So I'm just adding and making it a little bit thinner. And I've got some yellow here, because we all know lion is not just yellow and brown. We got to have some fun colors in there. And again, I'm still going with the arrow leaf. This time I'm not so much using my rolling pin since this is messier. And I'm just going to dab that on, make sure I've got a good amount, and then I'm just going to overlay it. So we've got some two-tone color going on. As you can see, the print stamp works a lot better as far as getting all those detail, but we're having fun here, right? You can continue on. I can get really detailed into this, so I am not going to continue on with that. I'm going to show you a fun way to do some landscaping stuff. So I've got just regular Sharpie. You can use a magic marker if you don't want to. This is just what I had on hand. And I'm going to create a little hill scene with a nice little stream rolling down. Doesn't look like a whole lot. And then I'm going to place some trees. Simple stems, nothing super fancy because we're going to be printing over this. Maybe we'll do a weeping willow. And because it's spring, I'm thinking of all of those beautiful weeping cherries and all the fresh green growth that's coming out that makes everything so wonderful and spring and full of life. And I don't know about you, but I need that right now in my life. And what I've got this ink. Again, this is what I've had at home. You can do watercolor. It will work just the same. I'm just going to put a couple dots because this stuff is mighty powerful. It's like watercolor for grown-ups basically. And I've got a wet paintbrush, and I'm just going to blend this around, play it nice and loose because we're just loose like that. And see how you can get all kinds of different colors coming on, all different shades of blues, and where I had a little bit of that yellow. And we're going to have that rushing around. And then I've got a green here, shake it up. Again, a couple drops. And this paper that I've got here is for multimedia. This is why I'm able to paint on it. If you've got regular computer paper, it's going to wrinkle up on you and not be as good, but you could have fun with it. Again, this is just to help pass the time. You may have made a favorite piece of artwork to hang up in your wall. Alrighty, nothing fancy, just nice and loose. What I found, this white pine, I've taken little bundles of the needles. I really like how it printed earlier. And what in the world is she doing? I bundle it up, and I'm going to take my scissors so I've got all the needles at the same length and clip that. So I've got like a little miniature paintbrush. Nature Made, and then find my paper, and I've got another ink here, and it's kind of like a purpley fuchsia color. I love it. I love all the bright colors. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to that because again, it's strong. I'm going to tap, tap, tap. Get my bristles together, and I'm just going to basically like steepling. That was a thing back in the 80s, I think. So when you see the red buds and the cherry trees, and they are just all full of blooms, and all you see is that pink and the fuchsia and the purples, this is what it reminds me of, all that spring color coming on. And you're just going to do that. And usually a lot of these will flower before there's any green, so you can have a cool, beautiful colored landscape. Didn't mean to go down on the bark. It's happy, it's furry, it's Italian. All right, and then if you want to do, I really went too crazy with this. Go through, see what looks good. I've got a green ink pad, so I might try some of this Hinoki Cypress and see what I come up with. Of course, it's more of a nice like sage, not spring green, but we're working with what I had, right? Get my little clippings out of the way. And then see what it did. Not much. Ah, bummer. See if I did that any better. A little bit, but that's okay. It's spring. They're just forming. Anyway, I've spent way more time on that. Here's another fun thing you can do, and you can get creative. That's why I say bring your imagination, because there's just a lot of fun stuff you can do. Especially like with pansy blossoms. You may have planted these in the fall, and you've got a whole bunch of blossoms, and they're beautiful and they're cheery. You can try transferring them to paper. So I lay this face down. I'm going to take that stem off to make it easier. And then to help keep it in place, I find if you've got a paper towel or another piece of paper and lay it over, this might be a lot of fun for kids if I can find my hammer. Take your hammer and you're just going to beat that blossom. I know it sounds horrible. Ouch, not your finger. You didn't know you were getting a comedy show too. And just make sure it's well beaten. Pull it up. That flower is going to be stuck, and you're just going to gently pull it. And look how cool that is. It's like you've actually printed the blossom on there. So that would be fun. Different things act different ways. I tried to do a fern frond, didn't do as well. But just pick something out of your yard. See what you can come up with. You could do grass, and you could have your lion standing in grass. Another thing that you can do if you don't have paint, you've got some crayons around or sidewalk chalk. Get something with a lot of texture, kind of bumpy. I think this is a Leland cypress that I pulled this off of. And this is copy paper. My art paper is a little bit too thick to get the texture. And then we're going to take a crayon. I've pulled out a pink, and we're just going, I'm sure you probably remember doing this as a kid in class, parents, and maybe as a kid doing this. And you're just going to hold your paper down, and you're going to rub on the side, taking the paper off of the crown. Probably would have been a little more helpful. And just see what you come up with. It's kind of like Indiana Jones on The Last Crusade when he does the rubbing of the tablet. We're looking for the plant grail. There you go. So there is the crayon. It's not as well defined, but you can get some really interesting texture. Actually, I could see this being like an underwater sea plant, so you could do your fish that way. I can do a little bit with chalk. Let me get and see if we get a different kind of result with that. Oh, my chalk is working much better. Kind of has a cool texture to it. So there, my Liptians, go forth, create art, get out there in your yard, have fun, be creative, and parents, be patient with your children, and children, please listen to your parents. Stay safe and healthy. This is Lauren from Willow Ridge.